What's up? Welcome back to the Bud Light Southern Power Poll. Jim Johnson here alongside Ben Troop, breaking down the top 12 teams in our SouthernPigskin.com coverage area, ACC, SEC, Sun Belt. Ben, last week Alabama was number one. They stay number one after taking care of business against Texas A&M. That was a pretty resounding victory. Tua did throw his first pick of the season.
So he is human?
Yeah, he finally didn't look like a robot. Although, give credit to Mike Elko. They totally schemed that up. I mean, the great job on Damani Richardson making the play, but that was all Mike Elko. But Alabama stays at one. They just housed Texas A&M.
Yeah, Tua is being Tua. I saw after the game, Tua was talking again about how people saying all you do is throw slants. And Tua quote looked at the camera and said, "Well, stop it." We also threw Waddle a little angle route. He took it about 70 yards. But yeah, Alabama doing what Alabama does, beat up everybody on offense, not making the game. Kellen Mond did show a little life, but it was against Alabama.
And we had been waiting to see. We knew Clemson had been playing like one of maybe the 10 best teams in college football throughout the season, but they hadn't looked like one of the 3 or 4 best teams yet. To me, against Florida State, they looked like one of the 3 or 4 best teams.
Yeah, you feel bad for Florida State. Everybody was saying, what happened against North Carolina. Clemson did look like Clemson. They had it going on offense. Featured everybody. Higgins, Ross, ETN, you look at what Trevor Lawrence did, but that defense came to play. I think at one point it was like 45-0. But yeah, Dabo Swinney, as much as he talked about how, we control what we can't control, we don't worry about the outside noise. Yes, you did. Mac Daddy got you guys, back playing Clemson football, and that's going to be scary, not just for the ACC, but the rest of the country.
And LSU Florida, to me, was my favorite game to watch all weekend. With Georgia losing to South Carolina, they were at 3. They've dropped now. So Florida, despite losing to LSU, actually moved up a spot. We have them 4. LSU moves up to 3 correspondingly. But Ben, ultimately it was a 2-score game. Mm-hmm. The game itself was closer than that. I thought your Florida Gators played great. LSU is so much fun to watch. If we got to see that game again, I'm not picking that to be the SEC championship, but I'd be psyched if it was. That was so much fun.
Listen, Joe Burrow with that offense, they're as good as advertised. You look at what those guys do. What really made the game even get out of hand for Florida at the end was the fact that, what Joe Burrow does, with Jefferson and those guys out there, at our receiver, but the running game. They was able to have a balanced attack, and as you mentioned, I think it brought out the best in Kyle Trask. Haven't really seen him in a hostile environment, be able to throw the football around. Kyle Pitts, tight end for Florida, he introduced himself to the world. But yeah, great game. LSU taking nothing away from them. This is all about them right now. Coach O, with the job he's doing, LSU going to be a team to reckon with down the road. But yeah, great game from start to finish.
And with LSU, the offense had obviously been there all year. It's so weird saying this about LSU, but it wasn't the offense that was the problem for the first handful of weeks. It was the defense, which had been good but not great, not up to the LSU standard. I think in the second half against Florida, we saw the LSU standard.
Yeah, and the thing is about it, when you got a high-powered offense, what happened, you listen to you talking about Delpas and those guys, but listen, young guy by the name of Stingley. Big-time talent at cornerback. A guy that just, where do they get these guys? The Patrick Petersons of the world, the Morris Claibornes of the world. I had the Corey Webster. You just can't get past him. Then here comes Stingley. Greedy leaves, Stingley jumps. So you go from Greedy to Stingley, Stingy, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, LSU stepped up in a big way when they had to make some key stops.
Yeah, that kid's a true freshman. If he never played another snap, I'd draft him in the top 5 in a couple of years. He's that good. And then for your boys now, they're taking on South Carolina, who, after that win, is a lot scarier than they were this time last week.
Look, the thing about the South Carolina team is going to be something to where, Jim, when you rally around a team that has a guy playing quarterback who happens to play receiver and you still win at Georgia, they're going to be a team that's going to be scary. I don't like the fact that teams play well before they play Florida. I don't need no motivation. I don't need no encouragement. But, hey, man, big shout out to the South Carolina boys.
Georgia obviously moves down to 5 with the loss against South Carolina. I still think Georgia's an elite team.
Yeah.
I think their defense is fantastic. The offensive line and rushing game is still great. I know they lost South Carolina, wasn't their best game. Pretty much everything that could go wrong did go wrong. However, I have to ask you, Jake Fromm now 0-6 in games where he's thrown the ball more than 30 times. Jake Fromm is a really good quarterback.
Yes.
Are we sure he's a great quarterback?
I never ever thought that Jake Fromm was great, and that's nothing against Jake. I think Jake was able to not mess up. We forget the fact that what he had around him. Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, that could be arguably the best tandem of running backs ever come through the SEC, and a defense that he had. And that's nothing against Jake. To jump in as a true freshman, do what he's did. You're not going to take away Notre Dame both on the road and at home. You're not going to take away the Rose Bowl, but There's a reason why they built to run the football at Georgia. That doesn't mean he can't throw it, but 50-something times throwing anytime in the SEC that's not Arkansas, that's going to be a recipe for disaster for anybody.
And Georgia plays Kentucky this weekend. We don't have to talk about Kentucky. They're not in the power poll, but I do want to give a shout-out to Lynn Bowden. That guy was amazing. He's a receiver, in case you don't know Lynn Bowden. He plays receiver normally. With Sawyer Smith out, he had to play quarterback for them. And take it for what it's worth, but my OAYP advanced metric graded him out last week as the third best quarterback in the SEC for Week 7, only behind Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa.
Listen, shout out to Mark Stoops. We don't talk enough about what he's doing in Kentucky. It's hard to win in the SEC when you're not, Georgia or Florida or Alabama, LSU. The fact that you can win with a guy that don't even play quarterback talks about, number one, the type of team he has, number two, the type of confidence he has in this guy. But yeah, big shout out to Kentucky, man. I mean, to get a big dub against the guy who, think about that for a second. Hey, man, we going in there with a guy that's never thrown the football before, and we get a win. Shout out to Kentucky, shout out to Coach Mark Stoops.
Yeah, absolutely. Auburn was off last week. They'll stay at 6. They have Arkansas this weekend. That they should take care of business there. Number 7, Missouri plays Vanderbilt this weekend. Had a good win against Ole Miss over the weekend. I got to ask you, with Missouri, I know we had been pretty much talking Georgia as the favorite in the SEC East. After last week, I know a lot of folks think Florida, even though they lost to LSU, given Georgia's struggles against South Carolina. Are we sure Missouri isn't in the conversation? I think Missouri might actually be, more, with all due respect, maybe more likely to win the East now than the Gators.
Well, the thing about Missouri is this. I mean, going into the season, before the season started, I was talking about who's a bigger wild card than a guy like Kelly Bryant. Who's a team that, listen, still, obviously we're going to talk about they can't have the postseason bans and what may have you, but people got so caught up in the Wyoming. They haven't lost since and have been very, very impressive. And when everybody talking about the LSU games and the Floridas and Georgia losing to South Carolina, lo and behold, them guys from Missouri, they play some big-time football, both sides of the ball. They could be creeping up. Oh, that's right. Missouri still has to play both Florida and Georgia. Don't count those as losses for them Tigers. They might shock a lot of people this year.
And then Texas A&M, they're at 8. They're 3-3. Their 3 losses, though, are Auburn, Alabama now, and then obviously Clemson. I don't know what to do with them. I don't know if they're good or not. I don't know.
I think it's all going to go as Kellen Mond goes. I mean, I think his confidence has really been shot. Since that Clemson game, I don't really know what's going on with him. But listen, most teams going to lose Auburn. Everybody's going to lose to Clemson and Alabama. Ain't no shame in that. But you still want to show some fight. I think Kellen Mond got to get back to what we know him for, throwing the football with accuracy. He just hasn't been himself. But yeah, hopefully they can get back to their winning ways, because if they can't put no wins together, forget the fact they was going to be a dangerous team moving forward. They might be fighting to even make it to a postseason.
App State, undefeated, ranked 24th in the AP poll, ranked number 9 in the Bud Light Southern Power poll. They have ULM this weekend, and App State is on the course, right? If they maintain the course, it is within reason for them to make a New Year's Six Bowl.
The thing about App State is not talked about enough is people talking about what they do for the mid-majors or what they, waving the flag. There's a reason why don't nobody want to play them. I mean, App State is a balanced football team. Doesn't matter. It seems it doesn't matter who they head coach. They still just keep winning. But yeah, App State to me is probably going to be much higher. They get pushed down farther because of these big time schools. But yeah, if Texas A&M keep losing, South Carolina, Florida, they find Florida start losing or whatever, you might see a Florida team or a South Carolina team behind an App State.
Duke did lose to Pitt a couple weeks ago. They're still in the power poll, though. Got right against Georgia Tech last week, and this weekend they have a matchup at Virginia that ultimately I think we can look back at as a deciding factor in the race for the ACC Coastal.
Listen, Virginia let me down last week against Miami. That's why do not take my picks to the bank. But Coach Cutcliffe, people kept saying, "Oh man, you ain't gonna have Daniel Jones, but they're gonna take a step back." They lost to Alabama. They have been very, very impressive since. Watch out for them Duke boys, because they come for everybody.
Yeah, and that Virginia team did drop out of the power poll this weekend, but could see them again if they beat Duke on Saturday. Wake Forest, despite losing to Louisville, and Louisville got some votes for the power poll.
Yeah.
They've gotten pretty hot lately. Now, they play Clemson this weekend, so I would expect a little bit of a bump in the road here before Sat tries to finish out the season strong there. But Wake Forest still hanging on to our number 11 spot.
Listen, Wake Forest got their first loss of the season. Louisville, a team is still trying to, make sure that people know that, look, no Lamar Jackson. I know we ain't got a bunch of players that nobody remember, but we still play some good ball. But Wake Forest is not doing the, quote, Kevin Thomas Wake type things Because they winning right now. Ask anybody else in the ACC where they want to have that record right now, 5-1. Shout out for the Wake boys, man, handling their business.
And then South Carolina rounds it out at number 12, making their 2019 debut in the Bud Light Southern Power Poll. Ben, your Florida Gators taking on the Gamecocks this weekend after they just beat Georgia.
Will Muschamp, I think that was the greatest job of his coach career thus far. I mean, no quarterback, no problem. Still goes into a hostile environment in Georgia, get a big dub, and they kind of exposed Georgia a little bit. Nobody's been able to take the run away from Georgia. They took it away. Nobody's been able to make Georgia kind of look subhuman. They made them look human. And at the end of the day, you go up in Georgia, you get a big dub, and you don't have a quarterback. You with your third string guy. Hey man, shout out to them Gamecock boys. I hope that a lot of those guys, if they don't want to play this Saturday, it's fine. Definitely Ernest Jones as well if you don't want to play this week. I mean, you shout out to that Waycross boy going out there making do what it does. But yeah, South Carolina, big win on the road. Will Muschamp, and this is the thing, people keep saying, man, why you always got your glasses? Well, Will Muschamp, since he's been wearing his glasses, he's undefeated.
Well, there you go. This has been your Bud Light Southern Power Poll. For Ben Troop, I'm Jim Johnson. We'll see you next week on SouthernPigskin.com.